Gentlemen, can I ask you to sit down, please, and we'll start again. I need my gavel. Can you please sit down? Don't go out round the door. Okay. All right. Now we go on to the Motorways of the Sea link. We start with Richard. Right. And we start with Richard Christian on the Dover-Calais, building the resilience of international and dependent gateways in Europe. So, Richard, when you sat down ready, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brian. Great to be here, great to see Brian and Jose and some other friends from most ways of the sea. Delighted to talk about Bridge. What is Bridge? It stands for Building the Resilience of International and Dependent Gateways in Europe. So how did it all start? Well, let's do a little bit of a quick history lesson. Cross-channel travel between Dover and Calais, well, it goes back a long way. We think about 3,500 years, in fact. The picture there is of a replica Bronze Age boat, a half-size replica. It shows the first sign of travel between the UK and mainland Europe, and the start of the important role Dover and Calais were to play. Moving rapidly on to the 1930s, you can see a ship there with a coach being craned on. That's how it used to be done until 60 years ago we saw the dawn of roll-on, roll-off traffic through the ports of Dover and Calais. And this is very much the dawn of what we see today in terms of modern-day operations. We're now a 24/7, 364-day operation. We still get Christmas Day off. But what has this transport revolution actually meant over the last few decades? Well, this graph shows significant growth on the route, and certainly over the last 20 years we've seen a doubling of freight traffic. You can see a slight anomaly there in 97, which was where the Channel Tunnel closed, and Dover and Calais had to pick up the slack. Again, just showing the resilience and reliability of port shipping and the sea. And so what about current challenges and current growth? Well, just in the last 3 years alone, Dover has actually seen 30% growth in its freight traffic volumes. It had record growth post the financial crisis in 2014. Another year of record growth just posted in 2015. And if we look at the cross-channel routes as a whole, that's 18% growth in just, again, the last 3 years. So some fairly staggering growth prospects there for us, and obviously creating some real challenges as well. And looking further ahead, we're also forecasting 40% growth by 2030. So the real message for Dover and Calais is that we've got some real growth challenges to handle, both now and in the years to come. So what does Dover-Calais mean to us today in terms of European trade? Well, we handle up to £119 billion, or around 151 billion euros of trade every year. 5 million vehicles, half of those freight vehicles, half of those tourist vehicles. That equates to about 10,000 freight vehicles every day, or if you put those trucks nose to tail, it would be a daily queue of 180 kilometres. And that's what we have to do on a daily basis. And 75% of that traffic from Dover goes via Calais, which makes us the busiest ferry ports in Europe, on the shortest sea crossing. And because of where we are, on that shortest sea crossing, because of the type of traffic, because of the volume of traffic we handle, there is no substitutable capacity anywhere else that can handle those volumes. So we know that we're going to have to handle it through Dover and through Calais. So how we look to handle that traffic? Well, initially, both Dover and Calais signed a memorandum of understanding. We're acutely aware of our role in supporting European trade, and that memorandum of understanding has enabled us to develop a shared vision for the future. Strategically, what does that mean? Well, it's recognising that geographic position on that shortest sea crossing between UK and Ireland and mainland Europe, and it's recognising our responsibility as two of the core ports on the TEN-T network, and making sure that we deliver adequate capacity in the years to come on behalf of Europe. So what exactly does that mean in terms of bridge? It's about protecting and enhancing short and long-term capacity. It's improving and maintaining resilience on a key EU transport corridor. It's enhanced flexibility and efficiency. It's the ports of Dover, it's the ports of Boulogne and Calais, and it's the Regional Council, Nord de Calais, Picardy. And we've developed a programme for that short and long-term capacity of various infrastructure improvements in order to make sure we're fit for purpose both now and in the years to come. The specific objectives of bridge are primarily capacity, more berths, more assembly lanes, larger ferries to accommodate the latest generation of ferries in order that we can address bottlenecks being caused by that traffic growth. But we're also looking at intermodality, so we're looking at road, rail and sea, and we're also looking to enhance environmental sustainability on the routes in order that we can improve the effectiveness of the transport links through Dover and Calais, improving air quality, reducing carbon footprint. It's about integration of the logistics chain, developing port-centric distribution facilities, but importantly for both projects, it's about significant job creation as well. So how have we gone about delivering this? Well, we've sought the support of Motorways of the Sea, and in 2013 we had our first application for European funding, and we were delighted to receive 14 million euros of support from the Motorways of the Sea programme to help us deliver the short-term capacity enhancements. So what were those short-term enhancements? Well, they're in three areas: traffic management improvements, berth enhancements and a multimodal platform. For Dover, one of the key projects was the traffic management improvement project, and that's done a number of things for us. For such a high intensity operation, space and utilisation of space is key. So we've removed old redundant infrastructure from the port, we've increased port capacity by introducing another 4 kilometres of freight lanes within the port. That's helped to keep traffic out of the hinterland and in the port, thereby enhancing air quality in our neighbouring communities. But it's also, through the variable messaging, has allowed us to better utilise the space we have by being able to flex the different lanes that we have there. There are 11 lanes, and depending on issues at the time, we have 2 ferry operators, one could have issues, and therefore the other ferry operator can continue to check in and continue to board unimpeded, or vice versa. So it improves the resilience, it improves the flow of the traffic through the port. Secondly, berth enhancements. Both ports have undertaken berth enhancements, 3 in Dover, 1 in Calais. Again, improving the resilience, also improving safety, and ensuring that we can both complementary handle the largest ships on the route, and maximising the operation in terms of speed. In Calais, they've developed a multimodal rail terminal to develop rail services between Calais and Perpignan. And this is helping us deliver a fully integrated European link actually between the UK and Spain. And as I say, we couldn't have done it without the support of Motorways of the Sea. Absolutely invaluable in helping us achieve those short-term capacity enhancements when we needed them. But that's just the start of the story. That's helped us deliver the short-term capacity that we needed to handle the current traffic growth, but what about the long term? We had a second application in 2014 in order to handle those longer-term growth forecasts, and again, delighted that we received considerable support from Motorways of the Sea to ensure our resilience for the future. And that consists of 2 main projects, Dover Western Docks Revival in Dover, clearly, and Calais Ports 2015, obviously in Calais. Dover Western Docks Revival, it's about creating a dedicated space in our Eastern Docks ferry terminal for ferry traffic. So the image there, the top right is our ferry terminal. The area shaded in the corner at the top right is currently our cargo facility, our general cargo facility, where we handle about 25% of the UK's bananas. The rest of that area is for the ferry traffic. So cargo really isn't in the convenient place, and it also interrupts the operation of that ferry terminal. Also, by moving cargo out of the Eastern Docks to the Western Docks, which is the larger area shaded, that area is currently underutilised, so we're able to create a dedicated area for cargo. But what it also allows us to do is, we know that around 1/3 of those trucks, freight vehicles heading back into mainland Europe, are actually empty. So what we're looking to do is create some added value activity, so that those freight vehicle journeys that are already taking place, those vehicles are already on their way to Dover's ferry terminal and then off to Calais, we can actually fill them with goods and actually better utilise those transport journeys that are already being made. This just shows you a little bit closer up. The left picture, the big shed at the top, is the cargo terminal. The picture on the right is the old hoverport where the hovercraft used to go from, which is currently doing not a lot and ripe for future development. This slide actually shows you the benefits of moving the cargo facility out of the Eastern Docks. I mentioned that our traffic management improvement project had delivered 4 kilometres of extra capacity. By moving the cargo facility, we can create another 6 kilometres of freight holding capacity within the ferry terminal, which combined with our first traffic management project is 10 kilometres, or actually a 50% increase in capacity for the ferry business. And that 6 kilometres of space is absolutely vital, because for the cargo operation, we were using it, say, 3 to 4 times every week. For the ferry operation, it will probably be used 6 to 7 times over every day. So a significant improvement in the efficiency and utilisation of the land that we have. Just briefly to mention that actually, although the projects are primarily based on logistics and transport, they also have a wider benefit for the local area and allow us to develop waterfront development that supports local regeneration as well, so that an extra benefit of the project. In Calais, they're developing a new harbour, 3 cross-channel berths, a multi-purpose berth, new terminals, platforms, a lot of reorganisation of traffic flows within the port, and again, a significant contribution to jobs and the local economy. It's allowing Calais to absorb that traffic growth and adapting to the increasing size of ferries, increasing resilience, and in terms of motorways to sea specifically, motorways to sea is supporting the construction of the 3 ferry berths in Calais, which is again vital to make sure that Calais can handle that future traffic growth and provide the complementary capacity along with Dover. So lessons learnt, we'll get it right and you can have a nice photo with Brian and Jose there, and a nice funded by the EU sign. But more than that, if there were to be any more than that, it just shows how important ports are to the logistics chain. Motorways of the Sea is championing ports. Motorways of the Sea is supporting delivery of long-term capacity for core ports on the key 10T corridor. We need to ensure that ports get the right hinterland connections so that the logistics chain with ports at their heart is joined up and is effective. We must continue to develop a partnership between ports, between shipping operators, public authorities and others to support a thriving EU and a thriving European economy. Thank you for listening and thank you Motorways of the Sea for your continuing support.
Now the Port of Gothenburg. Yes. Mikkel Sidorf Sorensen. Is that correct? Approximate.
Yeah, thank you.
Fredrikstad and Gothenburg, that's your point.
Exactly.
You were there.
I was there, yes.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting us here. We're very honored to be present here to...
The red button. Yeah.
It's better?
Yeah.
So, thank you once again for inviting us here. Just a small introduction to myself. I'm Michael Sidorf Sorensen. I'm the Managing Director of the Port of Frederikshavn, which is on the Danish side of the link between Frederikshavn and Gothenburg. So, we are, of course, very honored to be here. And just to make a small introduction to Frederikshavn, the port is in Danish actually nicknamed Small Liverpool or Little Liverpool. So we have a good connection both to Mr. Simpson and to Mr. Molle. So thank you for that. We to establish the new generation motorway of the sea, we're working on 3 levels here, and I'll present them all, each of those 3 elements to you. First of all, we have a huge port expansion going on, starting up. This started up 1st of March this year. Then we have a Nordic Maritime Hub, and we have a Nordic Maritime Link. Just a second. I'll just show you a small movie introducing the port extension.
The Port of Frederikshavn is a harbor combining world-class maritime services, including environmental management and recycling, with the conventional port activities associated with a high-capacity ferry cargo and bulk commodities hub. The port is vital for the town of Frederikshavn and always has been. A vibrant and dynamic facility that has ensured employment and prosperity for generations, not only for the town, but also for large parts of northern Jutland. The Port of Frederikshavn is the driving force in a maritime network of companies from all service sectors. With the planned expansion of the Port of Frederikshavn, new opportunities arise. The new quays and reclaimed land area allow for many new activities. The increased basin depth and navigation channel will make it possible to accommodate Panamax ships and offshore installations for service, repair, or scrapping. Along with the port's location close to the T route, the world's 3rd most trafficked shipping route. All of this provides an enormous potential for both the port's present and future companies. Today, The port provides 3,000 jobs and around 100 private companies operate from the port area. With the planned extension of the harbor, we will create the conditions for sustaining and further developing the port's position as Northern Europe's maritime service center. The expansion will create an additional 330,000 meters squared port area. To the south, a new 800-meter breakwater is to be built of quarry stone. To the north, a new 1,900-meter breakwater of quarry stone will be constructed. This breakwater will form the outer boundaries of the new port areas. The navigation channel will be dredged to a depth of 12 meters, and in addition, the turning circle and basin will be dredged to a water depth of 12 meters and 11 meters respectively. Around 700 meters of retaining walls will be established with the primary quay having a length of 600 meters. The primary and secondary quay walls will predominantly consist of a combination of interlocking steel sheet piles and cylindrical steel piles driven some 20 meters into the seabed. The quay will be secured with more than 200 steel anchors. The anchors will be of varying lengths, up to 50 meters, and will be retained by anchor plates of concrete or steel sheet piles placed behind the quay. Behind the new 600-meter main quay, a 50-meter wide area will be constructed with 150 meters of hinterland in the immediate vicinity. The new port areas will be provided with roads and lighting, technical installations, and buildings for future cargo handling and service. The quay wall will be fitted with fenders, bollards, and safety ladders. To ensure safe navigation for large ships, navigation buoys will be laid and navigation beacons will be installed at the breakwater heads. The development of the port with a water depth of 11 meters, 600 meters quay, and 330,000 meters squared of port areas will enhance the port, the town, and the area and ensure the creation of a wide range of opportunities for new activities and businesses. Activities around the shipyard, scrapping and recycling steel structures and offshore-related works will have more space and better facilities, and it will be possible to establish new activities such as oil terminals and bunkering, bio-oil and LNG plants, and the refitting of offshore rigs. The Port of Frederikshavn will continue to be a hub for Frederikshavn and for the entire northern Jutland, providing numerous jobs and hosting many different types of industries. The Port of Frederikshavn already has world-class logistics and maritime services. Now, we are creating the foundations for new business opportunities.
Just a few words on the port extension. We signed a contract with a Danish contractor in September last year at a value of 80 million euros. And Mr. Simpson we had the honor of having Mr. Simpson in an opening, making the grand opening of the port extension at the end of March. When we finalize the first stage of the port extension, we will have added about 50% of the port area to the existing port, and not less will we have we will create the possibility to make another 1,000 jobs in addition to the 3,000 jobs existing at the existing port today. Just a few numbers on the municipality economy. The port activities within the Port Authority and the companies within the port counts to about 30% of the tax income in the municipality. So it has a huge interest for the politicians. And with the extension of the port entrance from 8 meters to 11 meters, we're gonna double the potential to the existing companies in the port. We have prepared for stage 3 as well, and it lies in some years ahead in the future. But at the end of the day, we're gonna have more than double the existing port area. As all other ports are saying, we have strategic location. We are the first port on the leeward side of the North Sea, which gives us some advantages for the repair of offshore installations. We have a naval base at the port, which that counts for the strategic location. We have had a ferry connection to Gothenburg for more than 50 years. And besides that, the entrance to the Baltic Sea is counted as one of the busiest shipping straits in the world, with more than 100,000 vessels passing per year. In addition to the port extension, we made a consortium with the companies Cosan, Crisplan, and Stena Line. Stena Line is by far the biggest ferry operator in the port. They are active in the RSC as well. We made a contract with the management company called NCU, and we sent in an application and granted 2.9 million euros last year as one of the few comprehensive port projects. The Maritime Hub has three goals: is to create better rail and hinterland conditions and connections for the port's customers. We want to improve the bunker service for the more than 100,000 ships passing. And with Cosan Crisplan, which was mentioned, we have signed a contract that is to establish a bunkering facility for LNG. Accordingly, we have an agreement with Stena Line that we're going to install shore sea power supply, as they have already established in the port of Gothenburg. If we look at the next future perspective, we of course want to strengthen the port facility. We want to maintain the highest possible service for the maritime industry. Not least, we want to strengthen the port's role as an international hub. And motorway of the sea, we see that as a very important tool for us to keep on developing the port. The third stage is the Nordic Maritime Link, which is set up in order to strengthen the route between Frederikshavn and Gothenburg. As it was mentioned in our movie, the route between Frederikshavn and Gothenburg today counts and transport more than 170,000 trailers per year, which corresponds to around 400,000 TEUs. And not least are we going to not only bunker, being to facilitate LNG bunkering. We are in the Nordic Maritime Link. We're also aiming at establishing production of LNG coming from the natural gas grid in Denmark. Stena Line and the port of Gothenburg is of course a big part in the Nordic Maritime Link. As you all know, Port of Gothenburg is the major container hub in Scandinavia, and we will see upgrades of Stena Line's ferries, checking automation, waste reception facilities, and not least the alternative fuels. Besides the LNG that we're working on, we're also working on some bio-oil projects with other operators. So we look at that from not only to be able to expand the existing facilities and the existing activities with the ferry connection. We want to add on also from a holistic point of view, being able to offer alternative fuels in the future. And the vision is to establish the next generation motorway of the sea link that provides maritime transport as a viable alternative to land-based transport. If you look at the link between Denmark and Gothenburg, Frederikshavn and Gothenburg, the turnover of transported units counts to less than 5% of the total transport between Denmark and Sweden. Sweden is the second biggest trading partner of Denmark, and we only have two ferry connections crossing the Kattegat. So there's a huge potential to build that out and to take away a lot of traffic from the highly congested area around Copenhagen. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Mikael, I remember when I went to Frederikshavn, they mentioned that in order to get money, they used to go and capture Gothenburg, and Gothenburg would then pay the Danes to release it.
Exactly.
And so I wondered whether we could use funds like that, you know, go and capture Gothenburg, get the Swedes to pay, and you could use that for your port development.
I agree, and that's one of our targets as well. So,
Right, very good.
so thank you.
The next is Matthias Lindström and Kjell Nybacker from the midway alignment of the Botnian corridor, which we've become to know very, very well in motorways of the seas, if only because of a flat tyre on one aircraft that kept me captive in Vasa for longer than I anticipated. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. Shall we have to press the right button?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kjell Nybacka, and I will take this floor for these 10 minutes or 15 minutes. But my director, Matthias Lindström, is present. Hand up, because you can ask him and put questions to him. And then we have also a Norwegian friend, Arne Langset, from Norway, and representing Mo i Rana, for example. So we are 3 of us here, but I will use these 10 minutes. Did you find it? First, a question to you, to wake you up if you are deeply into your twittering or something else. If you go 2,005 kilometers from here to the south, where will you end up? About?
Lisbon.
Lisbon, well, good, appreciate it. Malaga, for example. If you go 2,500 kilometers from here to the north, where will you end up?
Polar bear.
You know? Well, you will end up in Kvarken. That's the northern part of the Botnian Sea, and that's where we come from. And we are representing 2 countries, Sweden and Finland, 2 regions, Västerbotten in Sweden and Österbotten in Finland. 3 weeks ago, the ice melted in that area. Just to put you into the picture, because I'm talking and employed by the Kvarken Council, which is an old cross-border cooperation between Sweden and Finland. So when you see Kvarken, that is 2,500 kilometers from here. This is the map which we dislike. It is not for the reason that it is wrong, but it gives you the wrong mental picture of Europe and the whole of EU. And the grayish area above is very rich when it comes to forests, iron ore, and many other metals which are needed in other parts of EU. And we think that there should be a more efficient corridor system, also including those big parts of EU which are north of Helsinki and north of Stockholm. And my excuse is to my Dutch colleague introducing the maps in the first presentation, which repeated this pattern again, that big parts of the EU are mostly left out. So this was also the mental picture when we started this midway alignment project. And after many years of discussions, we have ended up with this kind of map. It means that we start in Stockholm. Let's see now if it works. Oh. Stockholm is there. And then we go up through the Botnian Bay and down to Helsinki. That's the Botnian corridor, which is mentioned in the attachment number 1 in the present regulation. but it's mentioned that as bits and pieces, Gävle, Luleå, Luleå, Oulu, Oulu, Helsinki, Tammerfors. But it is there, and we call it the Botnian Corridor. And when we saw that one, our cities, Vaasa and Umeå, decided to build up a project to make the transport system more efficient for their industries. We have world leader enterprises in Ostrobotnia and in Västerbotten. And they heavily need efficient transport routes to get out to the markets. 80% of all goods produced goes by ship. The second thing was that they saw also that there was a failing link. That was the link between Umeå and Vaasa, a ferry link. That traffic has existed about 1,000 years. But lately the ships were built for consumers buying and drinking alcohol until end of 90s. Not transporting goods, only selling cigarettes and alcohol. And when the legislation was changed, the milk didn't come from the cow anymore. You know, money was transferred to the transport routes in the Finnish Bay, Helsinki, Stockholm, Turku, Stockholm, and the leftovers were left to the cities. A ferry which was built for passengers, not for goods. So it went bankruptcy and everything stopped. And now we are there again. We have bought back a ferry which was built in '81, and that serves a daily purpose now for transport needs. It's not a coincidence that it is two regions and two cities which have made an initiative. The Västerbotten